How would you survive light years away from home? We're going to be asking that question and many more in today's episode of Systematic Ecology. We are the Priests of the Geeks. I'm your host, Christian Ashley, joined by my fellow co-hosts, of course, the co-leader of the rebellion against Joshua, the one who keeps me honest at times, Pang Alangan Clyde. How's it doing,
Hello.
Pang? Gosh,
I'm
I
good.
tried to say Pang and Pang Alangan at the same time, and
You
it
struggled a
just,
little.
yeah.
Yeah.
I liked
No,
it.
no.
I thought it
Pang
was funny.
Alangan. Yeah, that's fancy.
It is. It was kind of
Uh,
like, well, with my sister's graduation, they like skipped her first name and they accidentally went like they used our last name Pangalangan as like her like now Pang A Langan Clyde like as it was like the first
That's
middle
kind of
and
funny.
yeah
yeah,
and it was like we paid $50,000 for them to get your name wrong.
excellent. And that other voice you hear, and if you're on YouTube, that close-up you see is, of course, the face model himself, TJ Blackwell. How's it going, TJ?
Good, thanks. Yeah. For
Excellent.
listeners, he says face. It's not. It's just from the bridge of my nose up.
Yeah.
I think this is the ideal camera angle.
Yeah, it's like, Moses only seeing the back of God. Like you can only
Mm-hmm.
see so much of TJ, the glory of TJ. Otherwise, nope. Someone just died there because he moved a
Sorry.
little bit.
Sorry.
It's okay. But guys, this is part of our All Reading Count series. For those of you who don't know, this is essentially one thing we like to do at least once a month as best as possible to cover different forms of genres where you'll read. And we're, of course, choosing manga this time around, if you looked at the episode title or anything. Guys, what was the last manga you read besides this one?
So, are you mean like just a chapter, like for the ones we're up to date with, or do you mean like binge?
Either one.
And do you be manga? Does webtoons count with that, or is it just?
I mean,
I think that's different enough that we should count it as a different thing that we could cover on the series.
I would not be opposed to doing manhwa later on.
Okay. I have to log into my thing to see what
So-
manga I read last.
Okay. So to answer your question, it can either be a single chapter released week to week or what you last binged. I'll leave that up to you.
Okay, I'm just gonna give both. The last thing I binged was Blue Exorcist. I caught up to like current Blue Exorcist. Really good, by the way. Way better than the anime. But
course.
Jujutsu Kaisen,
Mm.
most recent chapter is. Yeah, I'm gonna read One Piece when we're done here.
Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen ending fairly soon.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
or not.
We'll see. Pang, how about you?
It's a little romance manga called Pink to Habanero. So it's just romance. It's completed. That's all.
Pink
It's
to
your
Habanero.
it's your classic little like school romance. You read them once, you read them all, but I keep going back to for more.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Mine would have been I caught up the Chainsaw Man again recently. Loving it very much. Very confused by certain things that are happening, but at the same time, I'm along for the ride.
Oh yeah,
I'm on Fujimoto's wild ride.
It's crazy now.
Yeah,
it's so crazy.
So, guys, this is part of our All Reading Counts series. One thing we do like you to know is that you can find the other episodes down below in the description of this current podcast episode as well. If you would like to help us out, we have some special merch related specifically to this, that if you pay for it on our store, or you can make a one-time donation on Patreon, you get the bonus episode, bonus question for this episode, and all proceeds, they don't go to us, they go to our local libraries. So if that's something that interests you, please send that money our way. We will donate it in your name for that sake. So TJ and I have been on a couple of the past All Reading Counts episodes, so we've been asked this question before, Pang. But what do you mean when you think about the term all reading counts?
I mean, it's just if you read it, it counts, I guess. Fair enough.
Okay. That's your 3D chess answer for that.
I'm just
galaxy
like,
brain answer.
I mean, if I read it, it counts. Like you can read a manual, that counts. You read directions, that counts because you have to process it.
I'm teasing, but Peng is actually absolutely right. And that's one thing TG and I both said on separate episodes for that answer. So unless you want to go into further detail, TG, I think we can skip ahead.
No, if you read it, it counts.
It
Generally
counts.
speaking, at least.
All right. So this is a question directed specifically at me because I'm the one who originally chose this. Oh, and by the way, this was also voted on by our patrons. I sent out a
Wow.
list to originally it was just going to be Peng and I in this episode. TJ came along for the ride later on. Happy to have him. And I had selected a list of some things to be voted on by our patrons, and Astra Lost in Space won out. So why did I choose this one specifically? Well, because I knew I'd be working with Peng. And some of the ones I put on the list, I've been like, okay, I don't know if she's going to go for Junji Ito, if she wants to do Uzumaki or Gyo. I don't know if you would like Pluto or not. You might like Pluto, Naoki Urasawa.
I mean, I'll
But
read anything.
I figured for the most part, if there was something I could get Paying on along with me for the ride, it'd be something with, a little dash.
It had a little
romance in it.
sprinkle, like a little,
Yeah.
it's like when you add a little nutmeg to a recipe, like it's
Yeah.
just a little elevate.
We should do Junji Ito though.
That's an entirely separate episode on an entirely different topic, but I'd be up for it.
Yeah, we should.
So yeah, once again, if you're a patron, this is one of the powers that you have, choosing what we actually cover for things like this. We have, at least 1 or 2 votes a month. We may even have more depending on what episodes are being done. So if that interests you, head over to Patreon. So
Yeah,
guys,
I'll do anything for some money, I guess. Apparently.
It's
excellent.
true.
I wanted to add that in there. And so entice them to being a Patreon.
Okay. So next question. What was your introduction to this series?
Christian Ashley texted me and said, hey, I think this will be cool. It has a sprinkle of romance in it. And I said, cool, I'll read anything. And so I did.
Yeah, that's eerily similar to how I was introduced to this, actually. I was in a group chat suddenly and asked to be on this episode and to read it, Astra Lost in Space. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing what you can do when you have your own show and you can just force people to listen or read something that you like.
I think I do one of friends at this point, and he tricked us into this, TJ.
Yeah, I was manipulated.
Yeah. Yep. So, unlike my co-hosts here, I actually watched this first as an anime a couple of years ago. I think this was around when COVID began, and had heard about it before. I knew it had something to do with Shonen Jump at one point in time. I knew the author had like an illness or something that prevented him from getting stuff done. So watched the show, fell in love with it, then read the manga to get to parts of the show that weren't included because, there was only 12 to 13 episodes that can include everything in a 60-some chapter manga. Really enjoyed it and realized, oh, well, not as many people have watched this. So you're out there and you're thinking, well, this was your best example of a manga to choose. Well, another reason I chose this one is because it's fairly short. And I wanted to give people plenty of time to catch up to everything. As much as we love One Piece, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, so on and so forth here, there's a lot to catch up on. And yeah, sure, we probably could have done some of the series since we're caught up on them. But for you guys, if we want to introduce you to something, why not do something a little smaller? To get you dip your toe into the manga world. This would be a fun one to do that with. So Insa doing, what genres would you say that this story has?
Oh,
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi, thriller,
I wouldn't
romance,
say thriller.
maybe. You wouldn't? I think
I didn't. I wasn't thrilled.
Mystery, maybe.
Yeah, mystery's fine.
That could be thrilling.
Thriller only counts if you yourself are thrilled.
That's how I count thriller.
Okay.
Mm.
DJ, what's your justification for thriller?
I think it's there.
Okay.
It is a thrilling mystery because you don't know. At least
So yeah, I would say mystery, maybe suspense, sure, but thriller, I feel like I would kind of have like pounding heartbeat and it causes a reaction like thriller or horror does, and I didn't get that.
Well, if we're gonna get real specific, then I've not seen a lot of horror movies. Then.
Oh really?
Yeah, if none of them scared me, right?
Yeah,
You're so cool.
TJ's just a little better than us.
Hmm.
Only a
But
little.
yeah. So there's a little crossover between the thriller and the form of suspense is there. Obviously, sci-fi is going to be your biggest one. You've also got survival in here as a genre of being plucked away from home, light years away from everything that you know, trying to figure out how to get back home. There's a little bit of romance in here. It's not a focus, but there's enough there for one of our esteemed members to enjoy.
Little
And
nutmeg of it.
and one parts of it I really enjoy as well as we get to certain parts later on. So yeah, I'd say ultimately I would put this down as sci-fi adventure with those as like subgenres. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get into the story proper. What is Astra Lost in Space? What is the story of this manga we've chosen? Who wants to go?
So
I guess I'll go. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Let
you
TJ
should go.
Yeah.
No, I was just
Should
gonna
I?
say I got sidetracked over the past weekish since we planned this, and I've only gotten to read like half of it.
Ooh, you're gonna
I have
love
to
the
live.
ending.
Yeah, I have to live with getting spoiled, which is
Okay.
unfortunate because I do really like the half of the story that I have read, and I
Okay.
might try to speed read the rest before somebody says the spoiler
Right now?
right now.
I mean, TJ always watches or reads whatever we're covering anyways, because it's not like he's going to listen to this episode to remind him to do it later. So yeah, I'm fine with that.
True.
TJ's going to get spoiled. If you don't want spoilers, hey, put the episode away for a little bit. Go read it. It's real short. Bang.
Well, I mean, I'll do a little summary before I do spoilers. That way they can see what a summary is. So pretty much, as a high school, and they are going on a school trip to it's like another planet, but it's kind of like I guess similar to like the camping trip, like for My Hero Academia. They're going to go explore, and it's a select group of people. We don't know what they have in common, and pretty much once they get on the planet, everything goes wrong, and they actually get sucked into a wormhole and are in space, and now they have to figure out how to survive. They find a busted spaceship, and they're light years away. Like it will take them, I think it was 3 months to get home, and they didn't have enough food and water, so they had to planet jump trying to figure out how and to restock and survive. So you learn a lot of the characters and their backstories.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
well
summary.
said.
Good job, me.
Good job, Pang.
Yay, me.
Yay, Pang. Yeah. Essentially, humanity has gone to the stars, colonized other worlds, gotten to the point where it's easy to transverse the gap between different, solar systems and the like, to where they can end up at a different planet, colonize that. And it's typical of the era that you can just go as kids on one single ship with very small bits of supervision and just camp out. That's just how mundane it is to do that now. And there's a whole conspiracy of like, why are they taken away? What caused that magical or seemingly scientific orb to jut them away? How did the Astra get there? How are they able to survive?
The Astra is the spaceship, by the way, guys.
Yes. Like, who wants them dead? Is it just everyone? Is it one of them? Is there a traitor amongst them? This story is a lot of really good fun. So yeah, that's for the brief summary parts, and we're going to be covering spoilers later on. Some of the questions I'm asking. So sorry, TJ, buddy, but here we go.
It's my fault.
That's okay. I don't know. Is that more Chipotle's fault?
But it's
I
going
would
to be
say
great
yes.
because you can see how good we did. You're really, think of it, you're testing us to see how well we
Yeah.
read when you go
There
back
you
and read it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna take notes, and I'm gonna be like, oh well, Peng was wrong about this.
Oh yeah, well, good luck with that because as
Yeah.
my husband and I just talked about this morning, I'm hardly ever wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. TJ will release his patch notes for this episode later on.
Yeah. It's gonna be a small update.
It won't certainly break the game, like with a certain other Star Wars game that just came out, but
No.
that's its own separate issue. So what we always kind of like to do with stuff like this is actually talk about the characters. Guys, do we have a favorite character in this story? My images give away mine.
I have
Yeah.
to say mine is Aries because my zodiac sign is Aries.
Okay.
Yeah. I
And
do like
that's
Aries
it.
and her design a lot because
Mhm.
she has like the little things on her head and it makes her look kind of like a goat because she's Aries.
It's a
Yeah.
ram.
You're a ram.
Exactly. Aries is a ram.
I don't play a ram. I don't play League at all. If somebody does play League of Legends, let me know if that joke was funny for you.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll play test it later for audiences.
No.
So yeah, Aries. What about Aries do you guys like besides her design?
Oh, that's really all I like about Aries. She's fun. Not my favorite character.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, same. I mean, I like that she's kind of like at first the heroine because her bag gets stolen and she has to get rescued. So, that's kind of fun. And you think it's going to be a romance more because then what's his name? Kanata is how you say
Mhm.
it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So he comes to her rescue. So then right there, boom, you have your male and female leads
Off the bat.
that you assume, and then surprisingly, they're in the same group. So she thanks him a lot. Now she similar, I guess, to like a Midoriya and Ochako type deal. Like she's super
Ooh.
shy and she watches him closely. So there's really no romance per se between them, but you can see that she's hyper aware of him. And
Yeah.
then they meet with the other crew, and Kanata, he already showed he's great by getting the purse back, and you can see his athleticism right off the bat. And he already proclaims like, I'm going to be the leader of this group, and not in like an obnoxious way, but he just is truly passionate about people, which I enjoy. So I think Kanata would be my like actual favorite character.
Okay.
Me too. I do kind of agree.
Yeah. All right. So for Aries specifically, I really do enjoy her as kind of our main viewpoint character for this series. It switches between her and Kanata. And what I really enjoy about her, other than her sweetness and her design, is like her photographic memory and how that shows up throughout the story. It's not just like, hey, I have this quirk, and then nobody ever talks about it again. No, it serves a huge plot point later on to finding out who the traitor is, to figuring out information about what they need to do. Yeah, the story hinges on her in certain parts, and I'm very grateful for that. Now, TJ, you mentioned Kanata as your favorite. Actually, what do you think about him?
So I'm like 20 something chapters in, like right over 25, and so far, most of the story we're getting about him. I don't know if this changes. That's on me. But the fact that this kid who's already been through the situation once, got the resolve to get out there and work as hard as he did to save others, just to help others. It's awesome.
Mhm.
I love this kid. He's always
Mhm.
optimistic. He's super level-headed in a predicament. Being a decathlete is a really cool backstory for a character that we have like well, I'm going to call it modern times, but future times, which I can only assume will get even rarer as time goes on because most of the decathlon events are just outdated even now, and there are very few decathletes. It's awesome. It's cool. It's like a javelin thrower that could pick up a javelin and kill something with it.
Yeah, not many.
Yeah, and also super convenient backstory. It's like, oh, how does he run so fast? How does he jump so well? How does he
Oh yeah,
throw so
his
well?
dad was grooming him to
Yeah,
live on his dreams.
Yeah.
We're gonna cover that in a minute, but
We will.
We'll cover a lot of abusive parents in a little bit,
Ah.
but only after I talk about my favorite character. If you're on YouTube, you see her, Quiteri, however the heck you pronounce her name. I love her so much. I'm a fool for a tsundere character to begin with, but her kind of like standoffish behavior it's a bit can be like, okay, I really like this girl, but when you actually learn about her, who she actually is, why she's so protective of her sister, like her relationship with Zach as well, and the two of them like kind of humanizing one another really helps, and the fact that she essentially serves as our doctor for this trip, and that's only because she has a little bit of medical training compared to everyone else. So you're kind of put in a position of, well, yeah, I don't know what these diseases are. I don't know anything about this, but I'm the closest thing we've got. And there's a bit of stress that comes with that, but she actually perseveres, goes through with it, and breaks out of her shell to become friends with these people that she declares early on, I'm not here to make friends. And yet by the end, like, she couldn't be separated from them. I love Quittery so much. You guys have anything else you want to add to this part before we move to least favorite?
No, I assume the next picture you've given us is your least favorite.
Indeed.
Okay.
You didn't like the little girl?
So her sister, Phoenicia, and this is like, out of all the characters assembled, it's not like I hate her or anything like that. It's just like, out of those assembled of our main cast, she's my least interesting character. And it's that stupid puppet. I hate that puppet so much that
I
she
love
uses
that
as an
puppet.
excuse to be a little more foul and everything. It's just like, okay, this got old real
Must be
quick.
nice not to have childhood trauma, huh, Christian?
Oh yes.
Must be
I
nice.
I am perfectly able. I have suffered nothing in my past.
That's funny.
So how about you guys?
If I had to pick, it would be the Yunaha, whatever her name
Oh,
is.
you're a hater.
Yunhua?
Yunhua.
Yunhua. Why am I a hater?
You're a hater.
I'm not a hater. If I have to pick a least favorite, she's just like, woe is me. I'm so low confidence. I am just gonna go kill myself in the desert so I don't have to take up space or water for the team. Like, no, just go do something with your life.
Yeah, they cover that. It's like in that
mean,
chapter.
They did. But if I had to choose a least favorite, like,
Yes,
I don't
yes.
vibe with those.
It's not like she hates her. Same thing with me and Phoenicia. It's like, I don't hate her, or Phoenicia, however the heck you say her name.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I just don't vibe with those characters. I mean,
Yeah.
they literally create those characters so we can watch their growth and get stronger. So she ain't stay that way.
Yeah. Also, her design way better before she cut her hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't like the haircut.
Yeah. Yeah, someone who just saw a haircut today. Yeah.
Today.
All right, TJ, how about you?
Olgar. Let's talk about the real villain of the story. You little freak.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Who
a-
was Ogar again?
He's
the
the
edgy one.
The guy with
he's our
the
Sasuke.
Yeah, I liked him.
Yeah, no, that guy.
No
sucked.
way. I never would have seen that
Shocker.
happening.
Yeah, that's
Just
the
had
real
some
villain
daddy
on the
issues.
Astra. Yeah, it's because like, dude, get over yourself.
Uh-huh.
Like you found a gun, and you're going out. Everybody's risking their lives on these alien planets every like 20 days. Just keeping the gun. I mean, I assume the gun's gonna come back. It seems like a pretty easy Chekhov's gun. It is literally a gun.
Yeah, indeed. You will see it come back.
But like, dude, come
Yeah.
on now. Just help.
Yeah,
Say
for
it's you and
Olgar
8 other
himself,
people.
I agree with you. He's one of those, like, and as opposed to Quiteri, who kind of grew on me, and to where she ended up as my favorite character. When she started off standoffish, he starts standoffish as a huge, jerk. There are other words I could use. And even over time, as he starts to lose certain aspects of that, it's not enough for me. Beyond what you've seen, TJ, he does mellow out a little bit, but it's not enough to me to say, yeah, I'm on your side, buddy.
Yep. Yeah, I don't like that guy.
Okay. Anything else before we move on?
Nope.
Yeah, get your hair out of your face, dude. Put the hair in the beanie.
There we go.
Like,
So we
it
talked
can't
about
feel
favorite
good.
character, least favorite character. How about our favorite scene or moment from the story?
I'm not gonna choose the romance scene because you guys will all assume, even
Is
though it's not between Aries and Kanata. It's not.
just shoot,
It is not.
just be truthful. Just say,
What?
is
Yo,
that your
you wanna
favorite
know-
scene, Pang?
No,
Be
it's
true to your
not.
heart.
I'm not gonna say it. I liked whenever they cornered the actual traitor. Yeah, because at the beginning they got into the Astra and they had like a little difficulty, but when Zach Walker, which is like the genius of the group, noticed the controls, someone cut out the communication thing. So we knew there was a traitor from like the very beginning. And
Yes.
so like as you're watching these relationship and hearing these backstories, you're always wondering like, could that be it? Could that be it? Which is how I knew Ugar was in it, because they made it so obvious,
Yes.
that we would assume it was him. So I knew it wasn't going
Mhm.
to be him. So whenever they I don't want to say who it is, that way if someone
I mean,
wants to watch, you want
we can.
we can. I
We
mean, you
can.
do it.
Is it
I'm not going to
Phoenicia?
spoil it. No. Oh yeah. Okay. TJ doesn't
Okay,
know.
that's a good
This
I
is
don't
guess.
know.
fun. Why do you say Phoenicia?
I never trust it when there's a group of suspects and one of them's a child. Well, it can't
Nope.
be the kid.
Nope. It's not her.
Okay,
Kids
yeah,
are
solid
evil.
guess.
It is a solid
Incorrect.
guess. Okay. What's your second guess, and then we'll tell you.
Oh, a second guess? I just don't trust that kid. Is it the puppet? Are you guys distinguishing between Phoenicia and the puppet?
No. It's nothing to do with her at
Oh,
all.
okay.
That would be a heck of a twist.
That
It's
would be
like
really
Chucky.
funny, actually.
It's
Yeah,
really
the
just an
puppet's evil.
off-brand Chucky. Mm-hmm.
Is it Ares?
No, I would cry.
No, also a good
Because
guess,
that could have been. Who is it?
but it's actually Charse or Charse. How the heck you say
Oh yeah,
his name?
Which
that makes
I
sense.
did suspect him
Uh-huh.
as my like first choice, because he was just too friendly.
You know what it is? He's
Mhm.
spoilers for My Hero. Sorry, wrong episode. He's like Aoyama. He's
Uh-huh.
literally just a sparkly, pretty boy.
Mm-hmm.
And this came out like right after that, right? Like 2016-ish.
I'll look it up real quick, because I was actually going to bring up My Hero as well to distinguish between these two series. This started in 2016, so
Close.
for your trader arc, we only had to wait 30, 40 chapters, maybe a little beyond that, for the trader to be revealed versus 200. But
Well,
part of that
Charles,
being,
he also said
Yeah.
he's like, I'll tell you this because I don't want to lie to you. That's what people who lie say.
yep.
It's
And
true.
that's what sealed the deal. I'm like, it's you.
Yeah, but to go back to your scene there with the reveal of the traitor, I think that was very well handled, Pang, and like the setup for it, because we start with the moment you think like, oh, was Kanata going to confess his feelings to Ares? But no, he's actually asking her questions, utilizing her photographic memory to realize, oh, he wasn't there when he said he was. And who was also the first person who ran away? Who was the one person
Who got
or
into
the last
the
person?
wormhole? Yeah, the wormhole last.
Yeah. It would have been him. And that's what seals the deal. It's a good way of revealing that, because that is information that would have been there for the audience. So there's no like gotcha or anything where we couldn't possibly have guessed who it was. So their handling of him and the reveal of like why he did what he did. And then, we learn more like, hey, they're all clones. We'll get to that in a second. Sorry, TJ. And the fact that the government has instituted these new laws to where they have to do genetic tests for everyone, which is going to reveal that these kids are all genetic clones of one of their parents. So therefore, they organize this whole thing to kill them off in an accident. We go, oh, it's such a tragedy, but really their parents are just saving their own butts.
Which is why so once we find out they're clones, TJ, we understand why the dad was grooming him, because they wanted to try and get immortality, and he was developing his body for his like second coming, pretty much. Yeah.
It's a very Get Out kind of scenario.
Crazy.
So my
I
favorite
was
scene so far
impressed.
is probably where Kanata throws the spear.
Okay.
But I really love the planet that I just got off of most recently. Like I'm
Which
on
one
the
was that
beach
one?
planet. Like the
Oh yeah,
Paradise
I
Planet
would have
is what I'm
stayed,
on right now.
honestly.
But the fungus planet,
Ooh,
that's awesome. I love like xenobiology, like theory crafting and stuff. Shout out to our short stories episode from forever ago.
Yes.
But
is
I
that the
love
one
that.
where it's the planet is tidally locked?
No.
Okay. I'm trying to think, because there's one of them where it's only like a short strip of the planet is actually habitable.
No,
And
that
that's
was the
why-
one with the tall mushrooms, and they found out that they were actually the apex predator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good concept. That's so fun to explore. Like, this is a different planet. It could be completely different. Like
Yes.
nothing here has to make sense. They assumed it was a tree. It was a giant mushroom. It's great. I love it. And they're like, oh, the mushrooms here, like some people think mushrooms do on Earth, but it's out to debate because that kind of science is hard. But like, yeah, they're killing the animals here to feed themselves. They're just better at it than Earth mushrooms, which
For
is a cool
now.
theory for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for now.
That's what The Last of Us is about.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, the xenobiology stuff they do here is pretty dang cool. I should have known that'd be something you'd really be attracted to in the story.
I love it. It's so fun. And then it gets into, geological like formation, which I also love because they don't go into it like super in depth, but they do cover like, well, we followed the animals back to where they naturally wanted to run to. That's going to be their den, and their den is a safe spot. It's a little cave, underground lake, and the water there is safe because that's how these animals drink, and that's how where the giant trees get their water from.
Mhm.
It's awesome, and they cover like the cactus of that planet.
Yes.
Good, it's good. I love good world building. It's so fun.
Okay. Well, since Pang is too much of a coward to do it, my favorite scene
Oh, was it the one we talked about before?
is it is the love confession between Kitty and Zach, where I have her line up here somewhere. What does she say? I know, where'd you go? Come back. Oh yeah, it's my real dream, if you haven't guessed, is to someday be your bride. You clueless moron. It's said in such a way, it's so very sweet, but it's also very her to word it in that way. And the fact too that he's been like, well, yeah, I thought we were already engaged because we made a marriage promise when we were kids.
Yeah,
And
you told me
she's
when
like,
we were 5, you're gonna marry me. So we've been together since we were 5.
right? I mean, what's
That's
your
really
issue
funny.
here?
It's like, what? Aren't we already engaged?
Yeah, she's like, well, that's not what I meant. And he was like, I've been in love with you for forever. And then I was like,
It's a very, very sweet scene because it fits both of their characters really well. You've got her and it's like, well, we're just kids. Honestly, he wouldn't think that we're actually an item and that was always going to be a thing, but she's always wanted it too. But on his side, it's like, well, as a logical person, well, I already said yes. I mean, what else am I supposed to do? Say no?
mm,
And it just works for the two of them, like as a couple, being different enough to where they kind of fill in the gaps for each other. And as well, like the reveal of their engagement to everyone else was a very sweet scene of everyone kind of like freaking out and being happy because they needed some good news. So yeah, that's my favorite scene is the confession.
it was sweet. I think if it was between Aries and Kanata, then I would have like been like more like this is top tier. But I mean, they did get that moment at the end too. So
They do. It's just not as pronounced.
no, they was just like, oh yeah, we're getting married, and it was like the time skip when everything was fine.
You're not a fan of Yunhua and Luca?
Um,
You know
Well, I want to
that
be together.
no,
Okay.
no. I mean, I think they make a cute like sad couple, but nah, I'm good.
Oh,
not
you haven't
Luca.
gotten to reveal about Luca yet, have you?
No, I had. Well, I
Oh.
know his dad's the senator.
Oh, for some reason I thought he said Olger. Like that's
No.
No,
But-
he doesn't
no,
deserve
Okay.
happiness.
yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah.
So Luca is intersex.
Oh.
Biologically created to be so.
'Cause
And
his
that's
dad,
a
the
huge reveal.
senator, he was pretty much like he wanted the ultimate being. So he wanted someone that was neither male nor female to like rule
Yes.
them all. And so he
That's
purposely
crazy.
wanted his clone to be intersex.
So
And
it's
so then
like
you find
ancient
ahead.
alchemy.
Yeah, but then you find
Yeah.
out with Yunaha, how she has so low confidence and wants to be in the background because her mother was this famous opera singer. So like one time she got lead in the school play and her mother was like, no, you can't do that. You have to be behind the scenes because she wanted to pretty much, I'm going to say reincarnate. It's not reincarnate, but that's just where my mind goes. She wanted to like be reborn into her daughter, but she wanted to be her own person. She didn't want to be her daughter. So she literally like stripped her from any spotlight so she could have the spotlight when she was reborn.
Yeah. So everything could be based around her and it'd be her accomplishments and never would be Yunhua's.
Yeah. And then what's it called? The Criteria and Phoenicia, which is how we found out about the clone. because Phoenicia was adopted. But it's like, you guys looks like so much alike. So I think it was Zach ran the DNA test and found out they were the same person. So
Yes,
like so their mother was
Crazy.
like, I got one and a spare.
just in case.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Which is now we know why Ares was transferred at the last minute and all that stuff.
Because we find out for her that the woman she's based off of didn't consent to this, and it's actually a princess of one of the nations, well, actually one of the planets around there, and she's been raised by one of the maids of the what would be the biological. No, not the. Sorry, goodness gracious, I'm confusing my scientific
But she was
terms.
the maid was
She was the surrogate.
surrogate. Yeah.
Yes, of the princess as a clone for however the heck that works out.
Cool.
I mean, okay. So moving on from there, a major reveal in here. Actually, before that, a fair bit of the manga covers the fact that the children, most of them, come from abusive homes outside of Ares and families. So, how is this handled in the story, and what do you think this story has to say on that issue?
That's why I was so shocked that they didn't just stay at the Paradise Planet, because only Ares ever felt loved. So
Yeah.
I think they handled it well, because I feel like if you come from any kind of neglectful parent situation, like they kind of covered all the bases of it.
I don't know. My stance on cloning is a little weird.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about, like, but they grew up unloved. Like, so you had the hard parent that wanted to push their dreams onto you and like to do what they can because I had an injury. You had the jealous parent who was jealous of her daughter's youth and whatnot. You had the absent parent who had the servants raise her daughter. You had the parents who gave their daughter up for adoption because she didn't want to get attached to it, the clone, since she knew it was going to die. You had one parent who treated their kid like a servant, who and just a pawn, and the kid knew they were a pawn, which is how we found out why Charles was the spy, because he was like, I die for the king. So just kind of like being in ministry for so long, like I've seen all of these scenarios with youth and children, and so I'm like, wow, they really did cover like almost all of it. You had like the perfect Zach was so perfect and smart. He just his parents just left him alone because they didn't bother him. So they never loved him or hated him. They were just so indifferent to him. It's crazy.
So my thing is, if I cloned myself, I would not want to treat them as their own person. They're me.
I mean,
yes, but they didn't. Only Charles knew. Yeah.
Biologically, they're me. So they
Yes,
should be
but
me.
no, they should be raised under different nurturing versus the same way you were raised. You were raised in a certain way that led you to become who you are. They need to be raised in a way that leads to who they are. They're not you.
Nope,
They're
they're
just a copy of
They are me. I don't know. I'm on their side.
You on the clone side or the parent?
I'm on the abusive clone parent side.
I mean, I wasn't mad at them.
I'm mad when it's revealed that, hey, we didn't just do this, because we never had a kid or something like that. So what would you like raising myself? No, there's a grand scheme here to raise them, take over their bodies, get out style, and then keep living forever. I have huge ethical issues with that.
That part I don't really agree with, but that's my clone. Better be like me.
I think raised in different environments and in different circumstances, that clone may have features similar to you, but it's going to be different. Because there's only ever going to be one TJ Blackwell, and the world only needs that.
It's going to be 2.
1.5.
That's the best Lion King movie.
Of course. All right. Yeah, I agree with my co-host here on the abusive parent side of things. It's handled very effectively because you see, like, these kids are not well adjusted outside of Ares. But that's because she was raised by someone who actually loved her.
Yeah, so the princess literally was like, please go and raise this child as your own. And the maid loved the princess so much and raised Ares as her child. And so the maid, I don't think, realized what was happening, because you have the parents a couple times in a meeting, and they were like, "Well, they're pronounced dead." And the maid, who we didn't know was the maid, Ares' mother, she's like, "What is that? It?" And she wants Ares back because remember, Ares was transferred randomly, and
Yes.
so even then, like the maid is the only one who shows any kind of compassion and love, which Ares is like. That was so hard. Why when they were trying to find what they all had in common, Ares was the black sheep. Get it?
Yes.
Which I wonder why they
Yeah, sheep.
sheep Aries.
Sheep. You mean ram?
Yes, which is but not goat. Sheep and ram are close enough. Goat, no.
Isn't
Anyway.
Goat Capricorn?
Yeah.
Okay. Who cares about astrology, anyways?
I do.
So
I do very much. I mean, not like
move-
as to determine. It's just you need to know the facts.
okay, fair enough. So moving on from there, part TJ hasn't gotten to yet is a major reveal of the story is that the calendar date is vastly incorrect.
I forgot about that.
Because back in humanity's history, there was when we were getting into the stars, there were awful wars that were brought up that killed countless people, and those who survived basically said, all right, look, we're going to change things. We're going to erase those 100 years of history and pretend like they never happened and start from this actual date. So it's 2063 at the start of this manga, but the reveal is it's actually 2163. And their convergence point is that they say in 1963, the Cuban Missile Crisis wasn't averted, and it led to nuclear war between the Soviets and America. So what are our thoughts on this reveal and how it could apply to our own world with how people handle history?
So I've
That's
always gone on the side of like, I'm okay not knowing. So if the government wants to do all this stuff, I'm gonna just do my own thing. I'm just gonna live the best that I can. Because they're gonna do what they want anyway. I know. Like I think I took a quiz one time and I got like communist. Like it was really bad. I'm like, yeah, the government can take care of that. I do vote, guys. Don't get me wrong. I do vote. I believe in democracy, but so I'm just kind of like, okay, they rewrote history. That's fine. I don't care.
Paying ally to liberty and truth says, I don't care.
I really don't. I'm like, if you think that's best, I don't need to know the truth. I only got one life to live. I'm gonna just live it the best I can and do what I can control.
I kind of agree.
Okay.
Like I definitely can do something about it.
But like, is it worth it?
Yeah. Like I could run for office.
I wouldn't.
I could kill a politician allegedly in Minecraft.
Okay, I think if politics, and I'm sure it's similar in that realm too, because you see the corruption of the senator. Because once a senator goes into office, they have to raise they literally have to start fundraising. You know what I mean? And it's just it's all about like literally kissing babies, shaking hands, trying to get people on your side, trying to get like the majority vote and whatnot. And he's like, what do you actually get done? And so yes, voting matters, like learning parties matters, but I'm just like, y'all are gonna do what you want anyway. South Carolina is always going to be a red state.
Probably.
Yeah. And if it's wrong, I'll eat my words.
But realistically speaking, I don't think the Cuban Missile Crisis ending in nuclear annihilation for a country would have advanced science this much. Maybe in 100 years, when I'm on life support, still releasing systematic ecology episodes. And if we're close, I'll be like, okay, I was wrong. But I doubt it's, war does advance technology, but not that kind.
Yeah, I find this whole scenario very fascinating because how they learn about this is they stumble upon a Russian astronaut, cosmonaut, who talks to him about, hey, and I really wish I'd add this question earlier on because I'd forgotten about it until I reread it before we recorded. What do you guys know about God? What do you guys know about the actual history of things? And they don't know anything. They don't know who God is.
They don't know about
the actual history of the world. What Earth is.
Mm-hmm.
And that shakes her world because she's been in cryostasis for 114-ish years, I think.
But it was 112, but we thought it was only 12 for the longest time.
Yes,
Like,
that's what it was. And that changes everything, because anyone with that amount of power is someone I can never trust, because they have rewritten reality for their own sake and devices. There's a noble sentiment around the idea of let's not repeat the past, but then you remove the truth from it.
I'm okay
And
with
because
that.
of that, it ruins your idea. And of course, I knew you would say that as soon as I spoke my words. But it's built upon a lie. And the moment you start your foundation on that, it's not solid. The cracks going to show up. And by the end, that is overturned because the truth is let out. And those people in power who were utilizing stuff like this aren't so much in power anymore. So it would have been a lot better for you if you'd stuck by the truth instead. Anything else from you guys before we move on?
I think copying One Piece and having a void century is sick, and more series should do it.
Okay. Yeah. And how much is, it's an entire 100 years as well for One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
Which new revelations coming out with every new chapter.
Yeah, we're seeing how it generally doesn't work, so don't try that in real life.
Don't tell me what to do.
I dare you.
I'm too lazy to do it.
I dare you. Skip 100 years.
Okay. Anyways, so another theme of the story is the idea of found family and how one can form through various circumstances. Do we think that this is portrayed well in the story? And what are our thoughts on making a found family in our own lives?
Yeah, it makes sense. Go ahead, TJ. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I talk a lot.
I think it's great. So far, it feels it's very real to me. I love my friends, my found family, and my real family. Just so we're all clear. Well, I think it's done well. They're kind of forced into it here, but that doesn't change the fact that they're stuck together. They're gonna be a family, whether they like it or not.
I like that they
Fine.
showed the bonds of family. So even though they're not blood, because obviously, technically being clones, they are blood. But even when Choros was founded, that it was all his fault, and he created all this unnecessary drama and headache and stuff like that, they still didn't let him sacrifice himself. They didn't let him die. Kanata literally gave an arm to save him because that their rider dies now. So I mean their bonds goes deeper than family at this point, which I'm sure a lot of people who may not have family, which is more common than not, or at least a close knit family, they can say that they have friends who are closer than family.
Yeah, it is a saying I'm going to butcher, but it's like, you don't choose your parents, but you can definitely choose who your family is along the way. It's like not everyone grows up in a stable, environment where, mom and dad are loving, looking after their kids, wanting the best for them. But some people do. And even then they can still find a found family. And I've done that several times. My mom and dad are some of the greatest people I've ever known. They've looked after me. They love me. But I also have to grow up and get away. And yeah, I'm going to come back. Yeah, I'm going to have, Christmas with them. But while I'm elsewhere, I have to find friends. I have to find other people to live in community with, because as much as I hate to admit it, I'm a social creature just like everyone else. I can't live by myself. And what the series does well is it establishes how they become that found family. There's no for the sake of the plot, we're now friends. It shows it slowly, gradually, how they start coming out of their shells, how we start learning more about their backstories, about how they can, connect with each other. And that takes getting out of the hedgehog's dilemma for our Neon Genesis Evangelion fans out there of, if I reach out, it might hurt me, but it's worth it in the end, because to remain by yourself is terrible. And this series does it really well, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked all the characters' development for just a 49 chapter manga.
Yep. All right. Anything else?
Can't wait to finish the series.
Okay. All right. So, as we mentioned earlier, we find out that the protagonists are clones of members of their families. What are our thoughts on the issue of cloning and how it's treated in this story, beyond what we've already said?
I mean, Dolly was a sheep that we tried to I just like that sheep keeps on coming back into it. It's fun.
It's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. The first cloned animal we have was a sheep.
Named Dolly.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just one of those, because to me this is sci-fi, so I'm like, and I know we've tried it, and like it's so much with stem cell research and like reproducing cells and cloning them. Like I know, like this is not so far off, you know. Like it's still sci-fi, but I'm like, we might actually obtain this in like 50 years. Like it's not impossible. So, if it's ethical, if it's not ethical, like you can literally compare this almost to, I wouldn't compare it, but like if someone cloned for the child, like I know some Christian organizations, not me, but they frown about from IVF, you know, like so
Mhm.
how much can you take creation in your own hand when leaving it to God? So I mean, I'm at the point, if it happened, I'll be like, oh, that's cool, but then I wouldn't care. Government can do
Okay.
what they want.
Yeah. As far as cloning humans go, I think it's generally a bad idea to try and clone an entire person, because that's I do agree with what you said earlier. There's one you. That's the way it should be. However, the purposes of human cloning for organ growth could be massive.
Oh yeah,
Like,
now I have to
yeah,
wait forever for a kidney.
yeah, you just have to wait for your new heart to grow.
Hmm.
Mhm. Well,
Like,
that's the thing, though. You create the new heart, or you create the whole person.
heart, obviously.
Okay.
Saves so
But
much
then
resources.
you can even go to the thing, like if you take their cells and your child dies, are you gonna try and recreate? Like there's so much gray area,
No.
like what's ethical, and can, like, I mean, you say no, but if you ever become a grieving parent, you would do anything to try and get that child back and to get back what you restore. So I feel like acceptance and faith will just be completely out the window if it actually became possible.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm speaking on it, because then there would be conflicting interest.
Yeah, so I'm saying if we had a vote, I would vote no, but then you have to believe voting counts.
No, the government can do
But
what they
all
want.
Yeah, they're gonna do it anyway if they want to do it.
Peng says voting doesn't count, but all reading counts.
That is what
I
Pang
didn't
just said.
say
Pang did
I
just
didn't
say that. Yeah.
Yep,
I'm
yep,
just
yep.
saying I'm just saying because
Noted
I can what
commie spy.
Pang's not
this
even
is
Noted
a
hater of
political thing.
freedom.
Listen, I'm just saying it doesn't matter who I vote for because all of South Carolina's electoral college will always go red. So in that case, I do not believe that vote counts.
You have to vote smaller.
I do that.
Haha, you said doo-doo.
Yes, I do that too.
Wow. Yeah,
Gross.
absolutely riveting conversations we're having here. So to get us back on track,
Hmm.
on the issue of cloning, I've flip-flopped on this so many times in my life. Of like, no, it's evil. No, it's what science should never do. And then also, but like, well, what if it was okay? What if, God would imbue them with a soul and they were able to live their lives as well? And what if, hey, there is a stillbirth or a miscarriage or
Is
something like
Eve
that?
just a clone of Adam?
No.
I'm just kidding. It
No.
was just, I was being silly.
But
I don't believe
I
that.
know you were.
You want to speak biologically, then no.
So
But,
what would be the ethics of that?
I don't know. I think
And
the way I see it is, if it was not meant to have sentience, it wouldn't. So if
I
God
think you mean
lets
sapiens.
no,
Yes.
I don't.
Sapience versus sentience. Sentient, a rat is sentient. Human beings are sapient.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying too.
Oh, so you're saying these clones
all animals
wouldn't have sapience?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying
No.
if God wanted a sentient creature to exist or not, that's what would happen. Like God wanted cloning to be completely unviable forever.
So
All
if
the clones
God
would
wanted
die.
human beings to fly, he would have made planes.
Yeah. God was meant to fly, he'd have a pair of wings.
Okay.
I don't know. Kind of darn. But no, that's not the same as what I said, and you know that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just messing with you. But for the most part, on this issue, I lean towards caution. If we were to actually go with it, if we're actually capable of reproducing another person through a cloning process, we'd have to pass legislation immediately of how to deal with their rights, of how to keep them separate from the person they're cloned from, how much autonomy they should have, how
But even
they
if we
should be
have
cared
rules, people will
for.
not follow them. Sorry,
Well,
I talked over
I'm
you.
aware of that, but we also need to step ahead of the process. Laws are always, decades or even shorter than that, beyond where they should be written. And for something like this, they need to be protected as soon as possible because, yes, people are going to take advantage of them. Yes, once the technology is made, people are going to make organ farms where they can just sell organs to people versus actually having a more financially responsible, not financially, a more ethically responsible way of producing that for other people.
But then you
Right.
have the ethics of the clones. Do they have the same rights? So now sex trafficking. Why do I have to go steal this little girl from Indonesia when I can just create a little girl and she's not real? So now this man can do whatever she wants to her. And are there so I'm saying there's so many laws for sex trafficking to prevent. There's so many gun laws to legislate, but people still don't follow them, and it's still a
Yes.
problem. So
But
it would be the same with cloning.
you
Yeah.
established a law so that when they do those things, they're prosecuted for it.
Yeah. Do you know how
The
many
laws-
people actually get prosecuted for sex
I'm
trafficking?
aware, but at the end of the day,
That's not
those
the
laws are in
point,
place
though.
for when we're able to find them. The point is that we have said, no, this is wrong. And there are consequences for when we catch you and find you under an ideal legal system.
Mm.
I mean, what you're saying is just that law shouldn't exist. Because
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
the point?
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Communist anarchist
I want to
Pang.
live in a state of a purge. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
And we will be covering the purge later on in October, Pang and I. So I have that to look forward to when I have to think of my questions. So Pang, is the purge ethical? Yeah, we should implement it right now. Okay.
I agree.
I mean,
End of
it's
episode.
legal. It's illegal. Y'all have the laws and legislation for it. So I'm just kidding. I wouldn't
right,
do it,
well-
but I would kill it and people.
And
We'll
people.
get there when we get there. All right.
Mhm.
This episode has gone off the rails. I was not expecting Astra Lost in Space to be the one where I'd lose all control like I did with. Actually, this is going to release before the Return of Jafar episode does. But that is what it is. All right. Guys, we're going to have a bonus question as we always do for this. That being, does the length of a story make it better or worse? And I think that's kind of applicable for this scenario because, hey, it's kind of short. So, guys, have anything else you want to add before we start wrapping things up?
No, I enjoyed this manga. Good
Okay.
recommendation, Christian.
I'm glad to hear it.
It's really
Don't we
good.
have to do a book recommendation too?
We'll get there.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
I don't read.
Don't hate me because it doesn't count.
No reading counts.
We've had some interesting opinions expressed today on the show. So there's that. Peng, you said you enjoy it. How would you rate this out of 10?
I'm gonna give it a nice 8.5. I'm gonna go watch the anime now that I just learned it exists.
Okay. TJ, of what you've read so far, how would you rate it?
So far, I'm used to a lot more grit in my stories. I think so far I'm going to give it like a 7.
Okay.
It is
So
good
because
though.
it's
I'm
not
enjoying
Berserk, TJ rates it a 7.
I didn't say that. I meant like
That's what I
Jujutsu
heard.
Kaisen.
Yeah. So enough teasing of TJ. I'm with Peng on this one. This is a fine 8.5 out of 10. It's not a perfect story. There's some flaws there with characterization and but the art's really done well. I mean, the story for the most part, it flows pretty well.
It was an
It's
easy
a
read. I
fun-
did it in an afternoon.
Yeah, you can do that. 49 chapters, easy enough to do. So, guys, do you have a recommendation for the audience to check out that is from a different form of literature, so not manga? And why should they check that out?
So I'm going to go very off brand that I'm known here, and I'm going to say Scary Close by Donald Miller. So Donald Miller, this is not a Christian book. This is not like a dorky book, but this is a guy who helps you learn more about yourself and being vulnerable with yourself. So kind of like why you think the way you think. And he helps you go through a process of the first level, like when you go back into your childhood, the first time you've ever felt shame. And so like, and it takes a while. Like it took me, I read the book twice and I like had to meditate and trying to figure out when's that first time I ever felt shame in my life. And he explains like when you do that, you naturally want to never feel that again. So you create a shell. And then but you are going to feel it again. And then so you feel shame again and you create another shell. And then before you know it, you're an adult and you don't really know who you are. You don't know what you like. You just created this barrier of how you protected yourself throughout your life. So he kind of helps you knock down that and with like great coping methods. And yeah, I really think it's a great read and I'll reread it probably like maybe once every couple years just because it's a good reminder of like just how I deal with relationships with myself, how I see myself in relationship with people.
Okay.
So do that.
TJ.
I'm gonna say I was looking through my bookshelf, my like digital bookshelf, and like it's like last week I was one of the books that's still on there is The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm by Christopher Paolini, which is like the follow up to The Inheritance Cycle. Since then, I've been just been thinking about The Inheritance Cycle, and if you never read it, you should. If you like fantasy, it's fun, it's fancy. You know, it's not perfect because when he started writing it, he was 16.
That's fun.
The first book was published when he was like 16 or 17.
Yeah.
So you get to see not only the characters grow, but also the author grow in a massive way over the course of 4 books.
Yes.
So read The Inheritance Cycle, Aragon, Saphira, Eldest, Brisingar, or Aragon, Eldest, Brisingar,
Eldest.
and then Inheritance. Yeah,
Yes.
I kept wanting to call it Tempest for some reason. But great series, and I'm probably going to reread that soon, just because now I've been thinking about it for a few days.
Okay. Yeah, my recommendation is going to be one that I actually put forward to be for our novel section that was still handled very well by Will and TJ. But my recommendation for you guys would be Battle Royale. Now, I'm also going to put a little caveat there. If violence and violence against children and children committing violence against each other is something you're not big on, avoid this at all costs. I don't want to send that your way. But for those of you who are able to deal with that, this has a lot to say about our modern society, about, weapons, about how we treat one another, about how the government shouldn't be able to do whatever it wants, okay? And many more.
They shouldn't, but they do.
So there's that. Guys, thank you very much for listening, for watching this video. Please get a chance, just like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment down below. For those of you listening on the podcast, please leave a 5-star review on your podcasting platform of choice. Help us with the ratings there to find more people so we can get them the stuff that you enjoy. Well, let's find more people who want to enjoy it with you. As well, if you have any episode topic ideas you'd like us to do, feel free to send us a link or a recommendation our way, like we do to you guys on the show. We can do this at systematicecology@gmail.com. You can also send us questions since you gave us over 100 subscribers on YouTube. We're going to be doing later on, we haven't decided when exactly, but we are going to be doing a special episode where we answer your questions. So send those our way. We will answer as many of us hosts as possible on that show. By the way, thank you to our supporters, Aaron Hardy, Daniel Sigmund, Trip Fuller, and James Barrett. You guys are the best. Thank you for everything that you do. But remember, we're all a chosen people, a geekdom of priests.